I think it was in 2016 that I started writing the story of my life. And the story of my life, as I explained then, is the story of my relationship with Igor Turiv. What came before it, the background. And when he was gone, the story ended. And the period of studying history and analyzing it began, which is what I am still doing. I'm sorting out my relationship with my long-gone husband, such a belated endless showdown. I told the story of my life in chronological order. I wrote about our acquaintance, about the 4 years of our relationship before we got married, about the wedding, and the last post, I think, was called the beginning of family life. Of course, I was going to write the whole story. And then I stopped because I was distracted by something more relevant. As always, I thought I'd been away for a week, but it turned out to be for years. But I will return to the story of my life. I will finish it to the end, if the Lord will prolong my days. But then, when I wrote it, out of chronology, I described one episode of our life together. I wrote it because it was easy to write. It had a beginning and an end. But I didn't put him on LiveJournal then because his time wasn't right. He happened in the 9th or 10th year of our life together. Anyway, it seems to me that I didn't put it on, and I haven't found it now in 2016. And I absolutely and flan want to install it now. Because a hole has formed and I have nothing new to install. And also because when I'm gone, and it could happen any day soon, Yura won't figure out what went into LiveJournal and what didn't. And this post will disappear. And I want you to read it. And if it turns out that there was a post on LiveJournal, even though I didn't find it, then I apologize for posting it a second time. This story happened, I think, in the 10th year of our married life. But I want to tell it now, because if I tell everything in chronological order, I may not live to see the 10th year. And I want to tell this story simply because it is easy to tell. It has a beginning and an end. There is a plot. And there is no need to describe subtle complex feelings that cannot be described. Everything is simple here. My husband was faithful to me, not because he had high moral principles and he couldn't change those principles. Not at all because of that. And it wasn't because he wasn't capable of betrayal. I might not consider an accidental exchange on the side of betrayal. He was loyal to me for another reason. The fact is that he made the same demands on women as he did on men. She had to be an interesting person, meaningful, intelligent, with a sense of humor. A good conversationalist, only then was he ready to see a woman in her. Otherwise, she would not arouse physical desire in him. Even if she was beautiful 100 times, she would not arouse, and that's it. In bed, he needed a personality. And if a personality, then simply too much sleep is impossible. A relationship rises, and the showdown begins, the love, not love conversations. And this can complicate life. And Igor would never have gone to complicate his life. It was not easy for him to live without that. But one day Igor went on a business trip to Vilnius for 10 days. He returned from a business trip looking changed, rejuvenated, positively refreshed, somehow sunny, very handsome and very satisfied. He brought a painting by Stasi Ilyevis Birches on Neris. The picture is big. On it, birch trees are reflected in the water of Neris at sunset, and from sunset the water is red. He also brought two drawings by Lithuanian graphic artist Krasauskas, a magnificent book of Lithuanian fairy tales, a gift edition with amazing illustrations, and a wooden Gothic Christ. Christ was crucified on the grave in an ancient cemetery. The wooden cross had fallen apart from time to time, and the figure of Christ was lying on the ground. They found her there, and she ended up with Igor. I asked, where did all this come from? And Igor explained that it had all been given to him by a woman he had met in Vilnius. I do not know where they met or how they met. I did not ask any questions at all. And I only know what Igor wanted to tell me. This woman's name was Lima. Igor said that the name means happiness in Lithuanian. I don't know if that's true. Lima taught French literature at Vilnius University. She had her own house. a mansion almost in the center of the city. She told Igor that he didn't need to live in a hotel when he could live in a beautiful, spacious house where no one else lived. And Igor stayed with her for the entire duration of his business trip. She introduced him to the circle of Lithuanian intellectuals, which was very close to Russians, and introduced him, in particular, to Thomas Venclova. Thomas, the son of the Lithuanian classic Antanas Venclovy, was himself a poet, and a wonderful poet, as the Lithuanians said. Those whom Igor met, believed that there had never been a poet of such a level in Lithuanian literature, that he was a Lithuanian Pushkin and a Lithuanian Mayakovsky in one bottle. Igor liked Lima, and according to his stories, I liked her too. She smoked in strong, sharp puffs, and after each puff she shook off the ashes, and Igor told her, "Lima, don't waste your life." Igor showed how she spoke with a Lithuanian accent, so sweet that, of course, it was impossible to resist it. I realized that there was an affair there, and Igor spent unforgettable days there. Although I wasn't there, I can still imagine everything that happened there. Igor, of course, did not tell her that he was not married. She would not have believed him. But he did better. He told her that he was married, but his wife did not understand him. And no woman could resist that. His wife doesn't understand him, but she, Lima, does. He finally met with an understanding that he could not have expected. He did not know that such a thing could happen. In short, something like that. And it's not for nothing that he graduated from the acting department of Gittes. Of course, the relationship could have been completely different, platonic. But then Igor would have left our Moscow address to Lima. When she came to Moscow, she could stay with us. And when we came to Vilnius, we would not beg for a place in a hotel, but would stay in her spacious house. In short, we could be friends at home. And since this did not happen, Igor immediately cut off relations with such an interesting person. It means that he deceived her. The day after his return, in the afternoon, our friend Talia Tolstikov came to us and asked me if Igor had returned and how he had gone. I said that Igor had a great trip and showed him his Lithuanian trophies. Talia asked how Igor got it all, because it's a lot of money, and no amount of money can buy Christ. I explained to him that these were gifts from a woman Igor had an affair with in Vilnius, and I told Talia everything about her. Talia asked why I think they were lovers, because Igor is an exalted man. The relationship could have been different. I explained why I thought that, and Talia agreed with me and asked how I felt about it. I said quite sincerely that I really like this story and I am happy for Igor. I hope Igor was as generous to Lima as she was to him, that he didn't remain in debt. And that's the only thing that worries me. To live with one woman for more than 10 years and never get carried away for this. You need to be not a man, but a log. And I am glad to make sure that Igor is not a log. I generally believe that love should not be a trap and marriage should not be a trap. Even dogs don't like being led on a short leash, much less freedom-loving animals like men. A person should feel free. He should know that he has freedom of choice. And I want to know that he is with me today, because today he freely chose me. Not because he chose me a long time ago, a few years ago, and now there is nowhere else to go. Not because I am near, at hand, and it is convenient, but because today, as on that first day, he wants to be with me. My husband never cheated on me again. But I understand that if he had gone on a business trip, for example to Kazan, and there he would have met a teacher of foreign literature at Kazan University, and she would have been supportive of him, then such a story could have happened again. But he didn't see any more female professors, and he wouldn't settle for anything less.